All right, for more on this, we want to go to Ryan Mauro. He's national security analyst and counterterrorism professor at Liberty University. First off, your thoughts, Ryan, on what you've heard so far about this unfolding situation just outside of Detroit.
Sure. Well, obviously, it's horrifying, but unfortunately, this is part of a trend that we're seeing. So it's not an isolated incident. Even if you only have one attacker in this type of jihad attack, it's still connected to this overall wave of jihadism that we're seeing affecting the United States and the West. Of particular concern to me is how the attacker went after a police officer. Now, the attacker probably could have had more casualties if he went after civilians, but he chose to go after a police officer. And why is that? Because jihadists are egomaniacs. They want to believe that they're going to be celebrated as a hero, and so ISIS has latched upon the anti-police bigotry that we're seeing across the country. So there's more glory that comes with attacking a police officer now than a civilian.
But Ryan, can we shed some light on this FBI statement that just came out that Brian Yennis just shared with us? Based on the information, I should probably go about this in the way that we have it here. Based on the information that we have at this time, we believe that this to be an isolated incident. What are we to make of that?
What they're trying to say to the public is that they do not believe that he had a co-conspirator, that there isn't someone else that was involved in the attack that's running around the airport. It's meant to reassure the public. And with that type of context, it's technically accurate. But understand that we are dealing with a multi-layered network. Even if each perpetrator doesn't know every other jihadist, even if there isn't a whole lot of coordination with the type of war that we're fighting right now, he is part of an overall ideological wave, an overall network, and so I would take issue with saying that it's isolated when you look at it that way.
I mean, so we know they have the suspect in custody. He's currently being questioned by law enforcement officials. The FBI is saying we are aware of reports that the attacker made statements immediately prior to or while attacking the officer, but too early to determine the nature of these alleged statements or whether or not this was an act of terrorism at this time. What does the investigation look like at this point, Ryan? What are they going to try to learn in this questioning? How do they go about this, considering they are calling this an isolated incident at this moment?
Well, they're obviously going to look at motivation. They're going to want to know who he was talking to. Radicalization is a process. You usually have some type of mentor or someone that you look up to that teaches you that this is what you're supposed to do. So that's why the term lone wolf is so misleading, because there are always other people in that social circle that provoke this into happening. So that's what they're going to be looking at. But I think that there's going to be a spotlight on this ISIS-linked imam that has lived in Michigan. I assume he's still there. Imam Jibril, who's known to be one of the top inspirers of these types of attacks around the world. About 60% of the foreign fighters, as they call them, that have gone to join ISIS listen to this guy's sermons, and he was doing this from Michigan.
And knowing more about this person, having a Canadian passport, we're learning through various reports. Where does that send things at this point, Ryan, if indeed that is the case?
Well, I'm very interested in knowing exactly how he got into the United States. I mean, it could have been completely legal, but he could have also crossed through an insecure border, because the Mexican border gets a lot of attention for the lack of security, but the Canadian border is just as bad, if not worse. So that's something that we need to be looking at as well, is that it's not just about people crossing over from the Mexican border connected to drug cartels or the Hezbollah networks. We also have an issue of terrorists who have historically crossed over from Canada.
All right, and what you wonder if it opens up a whole nother conversation that we have been ignoring, concerns about that northern border. Ryan Mauro, thanks for jumping on with us.
Thank you.